stars Carey Mulligan. NBC Tonight. These guys are smashing up stores with sledgehammers.
Do you think you saw anything?
No. She saw one of their faces.
She lied to me.
Find something that'll break her, or we charge her.
Chicago PD, new February 21st on NBC and Peacock.
The girl's father, you know him.
Bunsen.
Chief, you shouldn't be here.
The kid raped my daughter.
We don't know that.
I'll kill you.
Get out of my squad room now.
SVU, Thursday on NBC and Peacock.
Live on NBC 12. This is Newswatch 12 at 10.
Good evening, I'm Jessica Jukage. On January 20th, shots were fired and heard from a house on River Street near Rhinelander. Tonight, the Wisconsin Department of Justice released an update on the investigation. Here's footage from that evening where law enforcement were using a Shell gas station near Rhinelander as their home base for their operation. At around 9 p.m. that night, there were 2 hang-up calls to 911 from a house on the 1600 block of River Road. This triggered a welfare check. 3 Oneida County Sheriff's deputies and 2 Rhinelander police officers responded. Upon arrival, 2 people were inside, and when officers went in, they were met with gunfire by 33-year-old Stephen Kincaid. One of the deputies returned fire. All law enforcement retreated outside the home, backed away, and created a perimeter. Kincaid continued to shoot at officers from the second level of the home, and officers fired back. Eventually, the second subject came out of the home and was evaluated by emergency medical services on the scene. A tactical team later entered the house and located Kincaid, who was dead. Eagle River Elementary's principal sent a note to parents today about a disturbance in the parking lot during student drop-off. Don Anderson told parents that a parent was being uncooperative with the school resource officer, and the parent's behavior escalated to the point where law enforcement intervention was necessary. Anderson said no one was in danger during this time and that the parent is no longer permitted on school grounds. Last January, a Tomahawk bus driver was frustrated during a route, and instead of finishing the job, she took a bus full of children to the city's bus barn. She faced charges of false imprisonment, but reached a plea deal in court today. The incident involving Deborah Decker occurred on January 2023. When she arrived at the bus barn, Decker asked another driver to finish the route and stayed on the bus until police arrived. Decker was charged with 41 counts of false imprisonment and 1 count of disorderly conduct in March. In court today, Decker reached a deal with prosecutors to drop all of her false imprisonment charges and pled guilty to disorderly conduct. The terms of the deal were not revealed today, but Decker will receive no prison time if the agreement goes through. It was a warm day. Chief Meteorologist Jeff Weller's tracking a cool down. Jeff?
All right, Jessica, thank you. Mostly 40s for high temperatures across the area today. Tomorrow, a bit warmer, but that's the last day of that with some rain showers tomorrow evening, giving way to a cold front on Friday, then falling temperatures on Friday afternoon. Some light sprinkles and a couple light rain showers out here tonight. It will not be a big deal at all. The bigger deal gets in here tomorrow afternoon or so, where we could get a couple rain showers across our area then, and that could give us some rain into early parts of Friday, changing over to a bit of light snow Friday morning. That will not accumulate at all. For tonight, though, not so low temperatures down near 35. Your full forecast is coming up. Jessica?
Wisconsin Attorney General Josh Kaul is leading a bipartisan coalition of 42 attorney generals asking for more funding for victims of crimes. The Victims of Crimes Act fund, also known as VOCA Fund, was created in 1984. Today, Kaul held a press conference urging Congress to authorize bridge funding to state and local programs to help victims of crime. Without it, funding for these programs is expected to drop $700 million from last year. In 2023, Wisconsin received $40 million in funding. This year, it dropped to $13 million.
The reality is that often when people are the victims of crime, they have immediate needs that need to be addressed. Working with the criminal justice system may not be top on their list. They may face challenges with housing or with substance use disorder or mental health challenges or just getting their lives back together after being victimized in a crime.
The drop in VOCA funding begins October 1st. The daughter of a Wisconsin inmate who died in custody has filed a federal lawsuit against prison officials. Dean Hoffman killed himself in his cell at Waupun Correctional Institution last June. His daughter filed the lawsuit in Milwaukee on Tuesday, alleging prison officials failed to provide adequate mental health care and medications. Hoffman was sentenced to more than 20 years in prison in February 2023 for kidnapping a woman in 2018. His daughter alleges he was suffering from severe mental illness when he was placed in solitary confinement last year. Hoffman's one of 3 inmates who died in 2023. The other 2 deaths are under investigation. Businessman Eric Hovde has begun to assemble a team for a likely U.S. Senate bid. Here's footage of Hovde's failed bid for Senate in 2012. Hovde has hired David Rexroad, who recently worked for the Republican Governors Association. He's expected to serve as general consultant. He also hired Ron Johnson's former finance coordinator, who's expected to be campaign manager. There's growing speculation that he will launch a campaign for U.S. Senate in the coming weeks. Milwaukee officials are calling for change to ambulance companies in the city after a woman died at a bus stop after calling emergency services. 49-year-old Jolene Waldruff died after calling 911 saying she could not breathe. A Curtis ambulance went out, but the crew says they could not find her. They spent about 7 minutes checking the area, but never got out of their vehicle. During a news conference last week, the CEO of Curtis Ambulance initially said the team did not do anything wrong, but later said he was open to changes. One Milwaukee alderman said enough is enough.
I'm looking to avoid any other private ambulance company CEO to be able to stand to a podium and say we didn't do anything wrong. We acted according to our policy. So yes, I do want it in writing.
Milwaukee's Common Council quickly approved Alderman Lamont Westmoreland's resolution urging fire and ambulance companies require crews to exit their vehicles and search for people asking for help when weather or other conditions make it hard to see around their dispatch location.
Rather than spend time on this floor going over what we've all seen in the video, I think what we know is that the great part of government is when we react to issues and make changes.
The resolution comes at the same time the city is working with a new contract with private ambulance companies. The council will hold off voting on a new contract until the company makes procedural changes. Groundwater tests from a small town of Stella in Oneida County have had the highest concentrations of PFAS in the state. Inside the town of the Moen chain of lakes, and now the DNR is recommending people have no more than 1 meal a month with fish caught from that chain. The DNR bases its advisories on observed PFAS levels in fish. The average levels for the Moen chain ranged from 34 parts per billion in rock bass up to 94 parts per billion in walleye. The DNR also added the Hat Rapids flowage area near Rhinelander to its PFAS-based advisory. Many events and activities have been canceled throughout the Northwoods, but community leaders are creating new ways to help those businesses that have been most impacted. Newswatch 12's Austin Carisu visited the Eagle River Chamber of Commerce to learn how they're helping their community.
Many local businesses and organizations throughout the Northwoods have been impacted by the lack of snow this winter, but the Eagle River Chamber of Commerce is helping those in their community.
That's what this little community does. We all pull for each other.
Starting this week and going through April, those who spend money on a product or service with a chamber business will be entered into a weekly drawing to receive chamber bucks.
It's very important that this is one way at the chamber that we can help, is to hopefully drive more business into those different businesses so that they can keep paying their bills and have great survival rate.
Katie Hayes, the owner of Arrow Gift Shop and Mary Kate's Wine Bar in Eagle River, says that having such great community support is helpful during this tough winter season.
I think it's just wonderful that they are seeing how the lack of snow is affecting their members and trying to do everything they can to help us.
Due to the lack of snow and colder temperatures, the popular ice castle and pond hockey tournament were canceled, and snowmobile season still hasn't started.
It's really hurting, I think, probably every business in town, whether you're renting snowmobiles, whether you're a snowplower, a local gift shop. It's affecting everybody. People just aren't coming up.
For the raffle, both visitors and locals are eligible to enter as long as they submit the receipt to the chamber.
In order to help keep these businesses going out and buying items in the downtown stores or eating in one of our restaurants is a very important move to help us get through this hard time.
For more information, you can stop in the Eagle River Chamber of Commerce during their hours of operation. Reporting in Eagle River, Austin Creasue, Newswatch 12.
What a great idea. Thank you, Austin. A U.S. Supreme Court hearing is scheduled for Thursday. Coming up, we'll hear what they're considering after Weather with Jeff right here on Newswatch 12.
Farming today doesn't always feel the same way it used to. Then again, some of it feels all the same. Maybe it isn't so much the jobs that changed, but how they get done. Now that's a different story. Efficiencies are critical, which is why you need a lender who will find the right loan structure for a strong financial future. You need a lender to look out for your whole farm operation. Ag Country.
For most of the people that walk in our store, it's been an ongoing, non-stop issue, and they're finally walking into the Good Feet store. Okay, the guy that came into my store last year that has had plantar fasciitis for 30 years. I looked at him, I said, "Are you kidding me? I've been here for 14. Where have you been?" I helped relieve a problem that's plagued him for 30 years. I mean, how do you not go home and talk about that?
See for yourself with a free personalized arch support fitting at the Good Feet store.
It's Auto Show. The deals start now, and so should you. Get started on your next Ford SUV, like an adventure-ready Bronco or Bronco Sports. Escape to take on the everyday, or Explorer, America's all-time best-selling SUV. Get here to your Ford dealer. It's Auto Show. The deals start now, and so should you. During Auto Show, choose FlexBuy on Explorer or Bronco Sport with 1.9% APR financing for 66 months plus $2,000 FlexBuy cash.
Ready, set, go! Boat show, boat show, boat show!
Can't wait to get on the water? Then get to the biggest and best boat show only at American Marina Motorsports in Shawano. We're matching deposits up to $1,000 or we will beat any competing price by $500. Don't be left out in the cold all year. Get your new boat at the upcoming American Marine Boat Show, February 22nd through the 25th, Shawano.
Boat show, boat show, boat show, boat show!
There you are. Welcome back, my friends. Plenty of cloud cover out there today with high temperatures in the 40s to a few low 50s across the area. We'll do the same thing tomorrow before a cold front comes through on Friday, really cooling things off for us Friday and through the weekend. 45 here in Rhinelander today, 40 for Antigo, 45 for Mosinee, 47 for Point. So very comfortable, well above average high temperatures today. You see what happened here, right? The average high being 24, but remember yesterday the average low temperature was 3. Now it's 4 as we head towards spring. The record low 28 below back in 1988, and the sun set earlier at 5:12. Precipitation-wise, so if winter ended today, we have 21.8 inches of snow so far in Rhinelander. That gives us second place for least snowiest season on record. So we'll see. Winter is not going to end today, and there is just a bit of snow in the 7-day forecast right now. There are cooler temperatures, though. So 49 tomorrow, 38 Friday, and dropping throughout the afternoon. And then, look, we're going to hold high temperatures likely below freezing. Haven't said that for a while on Saturday into Sunday. All right, out there today, a couple of rain showers cannot be ruled out tonight. Lots of cloud cover this evening into tomorrow as well. There's a bigger system, though, back off to the west of us. That's going to move through about midday tomorrow, and that could easily bring us some rain showers midday-ish tomorrow into tomorrow night. That could end as a little bit of snow shower activity on Friday, but just a little bit. There's a big system here across parts of Oklahoma moving in our direction, so rain is almost likely tomorrow afternoon. Let's walk you through it. So tonight, lots of cloud cover, a couple sprinkles around tomorrow, a couple rain showers throughout the afternoon into tomorrow night. But don't panic. There is a little bit of snow in the 7-day forecast. It's been a while, I know. Most likely on Friday morning, and maybe a bit of snow again on Saturday. But overall, just an inch or so of snow. I'm going to run this, the European model, through next week, Wednesday. So a week from today, it gives us maybe an inch or two of snow along and north of Highway 8. That's all we're going to get for now. Certainly we could use some more snow. It's not going to happen for us anytime soon. Lots of cloud cover out there tonight. A couple of sprinkles can't be ruled out. Look for not so low temperatures down near 35, so above freezing with a southeast breeze around 5. For tomorrow, it's Thursday. Cloudy and breezy tomorrow. That south wind could gust near 30, making high temperatures near 49 feel colder with some rain showers throughout the afternoon. And then looking ahead, your 7-day forecast shows tomorrow a couple of rain showers, a couple of light snow showers on Friday. Not a big deal. The bigger story then becomes the weekend with much cooler temperatures, not cold, but cooler. And Valentine's Day is on the forecast map with a high temperature of 31. Jessica.
Thank you, Jeff. A U.S. Supreme Court hearing scheduled for Thursday will be the first of its kind. A hearing to see if former president and current Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump should be kept off the ballot because of his role in the January 6, 2021 insurrection. The case centers on Colorado's ballot, and as Emily Schmidt reports, the outcome could impact the presidential election nationwide.
On Thursday, Section 3 of the Constitution's 14th Amendment, passed after the Civil War, will get a modern-day test at the U.S. Supreme Court.
Walk down to the Capitol.
Because of what happened in Washington, D.C., January 6th, 2021.
You'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength.
Then President Donald Trump didn't actually go to the Capitol, but thousands did, disrupting Congress as it certified Joe Biden as the winner of the 2020 presidential election. Trump has denied wrongdoing, but last September, a watchdog group filed a lawsuit on behalf of 6 Colorado voters seeking to disqualify him from this year's race.
Trump engaged in insurrection and therefore cannot appear on the ballot.
The Colorado Supreme Court agreed and ruled 4-3 in December that the 14th Amendment's insurrectionist ban, which bans office holders who engage in insurrection from holding office again, applies to Donald Trump, which they concluded means he shouldn't be on Colorado's ballot. Trump and his legal team disagree, arguing that there's no legal basis and that there would be, quote, chaos and bedlam if Trump is blocked from the ballot. 3 of the justices on the supermajority conservative court were appointed by Trump. Trump is not expected to be at the Supreme Court when all of the justices consider the question of his ballot eligibility. In Washington, I'm Emily Schmidt reporting.
The Senate has reached a bipartisan immigration deal. The Senate voted Wednesday night to take the first step toward debating a foreign aid package with assistance to Israel and Ukraine. That will not include a bipartisan border deal that Senate Republicans blocked from advancing hours earlier. The Senate now expects to hold another procedural vote Thursday that would require a 60-vote threshold. However, it's not clear if it will get the votes needed to move forward. Even if it passes the Senate, the future of the foreign aid package measure in the House is unclear, as many Republicans are opposed to sending further aid to Ukraine. The federal budget deficit is expected to soar to $2.6 trillion in fiscal year 2034. That's according to the latest Congressional Budget Office outlook released Wednesday. The major reasoning behind the widening gap between revenue and spending, a spike in net interest payments on federal debt due to higher interest rates. Also, the aging population and rising federal health care costs, which will lead to more spending on Social Security and Medicare. How Congress addresses the individual income tax provisions that expire at the end of 2025 is also a factor. The projections assume the tax breaks will expire, but lawmakers are expected to extend at least some of them. The Wisconsin Wendigo are one of the NAHL's best teams. Drew Chelly spoke with the Wendigo head coach about the team's winning ways.
The 5-day mega event starts now at Furniture and Appliance Mart. Get mega savings up to $1,000 instantly. $3,000 worth of furniture is only $63 a month with special financing up to 60 months and no money down at Furniture and Appliance Mart.
When a crane collapsed during construction of a Major League sports stadium, 3 workers lost their lives. Their widows called us. When maintenance workers were permanently injured by an industrial accident at a public utilities power plant, the 7 injured workers called us. When a factory exploded, injuring dozens of workers, 18 victims, including all 3 families of men who lost their lives, called us. Because Wisconsinites know who to call when it's a must-win scenario. They call Havish, Havish & Rotier. National reputation, hometown service.
9 million acres of forest, 1,700 miles of continuous shoreline, 4,300 lakes, 12,000 miles of streams, more than 300 waterfalls, 15 counties, 2 time zones, and 1 area code. Welcome to the Upper Peninsula. Welcome to 906 Outdoors. For your connection to the UP, watch 906 Outdoors Saturday mornings at 7:30.
Sinking driveway, settling patio, collapsing stoop, uneven pool deck. It's a fact. Concrete problems don't get better with time. They get better with SureDry. Call SureDry today.
Don't miss the Northwoods Blizzard Blast at Conover Community Park Saturday, February 17th. It's a flurry of winter fun for everyone. Sleigh rides, recliner races, kids carnival, dog sled, giant ski races, and more. The Northwoods Blizzard Blast, February 17th.
The 5-day mega event starts now at Furniture and Appliance Mart. Get mega savings up to $1,000 instantly. $3,000 worth of furniture is only $63 a month with special financing up to 60 months and no money down at Furniture and Appliance Mart.
Coming up on Newswatch 12 today, learn about a music festival coming through the area.
And rain showers will be entering the picture before a cool down moves in. More when you tune in on your Thursday from 5 to 7 a.m.
The Wisconsin Wendigo have put the NAHL on notice this season. The team is currently at the top of the Midwest Division. Today, we spoke with Wendigo head coach Blake Heitala about the team's recent success.
The Wendigo have been rolling this season. Head coach Blake Heitala credits his returning players for mentoring the new guys and creating one of the league's top units.
I'll credit our returners and our guys with junior experience. They've been great with our younger guys and kind of helped them along. And I think we've seen a few of them take steps pretty early and maybe quicker than they would have, if they weren't surrounded with good veterans.
Wendigo have one of the NAHL's deepest offensive teams this season. With 3 to 4 lines that continue to produce, the coaching staff continues to see certain players elevate their game and add support behind the top line.
Forward group's pretty deep, and we feel like on a given night we've got 4 lines that can go out there, put the puck in the net, and if it's not Max Martin's line that's doing it, then Schumacher and Graham and Patilla have been able to have some success.
This week, Coach Heitala and 6 players represented the team at the NAHL Top Prospect Showcase, a great chance for some of their players to get looked at by Division I colleges.
I think all of our guys out there represent themselves and us well, and got some eyeballs on them with Division I colleges, and I think all 6 guys that were out there talked to some schools and hopefully generated some interest for themselves.
The Northwoods community is getting behind this team. The Wendigo continue to draw big crowds to the Dome and Eagle River and are hoping that the winning ways will continue to attract more community support.
Saturday night at home, crowd was good. We saw it a little bit last year as well. Once we got past Christmas, and it was a similar situation where we were on a little bit of a hot streak. The crowds got better and better down the stretch, and it was awesome.
The Wendigo are at the top of their division, and with a showdown versus second-place Janesville this weekend, the Wendigo are hoping to cement themselves as one of the NAHL's best teams.
Here's a look at the Wendigo's division standings. They're in first place right now over the Janesville Jets by 4 points, and that is the Anchorage Wolverines and the Minnesota Wilderness in a tie for third. The Chippewa Steel are 1 point behind them. Then it's the Springfield Junior Blues, the Fairbanks Ice Dogs, and the Kenai River Brown Bears to round out the rest of the standings. The Wendigo will take on the Jets this weekend. Puck drop on Friday at 6 and at 5:30 on Saturday. Wisconsin Badgers basketball team was in action tonight, taking on the last place team in the Big Ten, Michigan, on the road, looking to snap their 2-game losing streak. Let's see if they could do it and get a road conference win. And in the first half, Wisconsin starting out hot. Chucky Hepburn pulls up from 3. He drills it to tie the game early at 6. We move forward to the second half. Michigan up big, but the Badgers would make a run. Big-time 3 here by Max Klesmet, and things were getting tight in Ann Arbor, but late, Michigan able to pull away. Doug McDaniel down the lane. He hits the floater for 2. Wolverines pull off the upset. They win it 72-68. Green Bay Packers CEO and President Mark Murphy will be turning 70 years old in July of 2025. According to organizational bylaws, he must retire at the end of next season. Because of this, the Packers have started their search for his replacement as CEO of the team. Susan Franco and Dan Athens will lead the search committee as chairperson and vice chair, respectively. Murphy has been president and CEO of the Packers since 2007. We'll be right back after the break.
Dear Winter, our squad of vehicles with all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive is ready. Bundle up. Toyota. Get 4.99% APR for 60 months plus $1,500 cash back on Tundra Hybrid. Toyota. Let's go places.
Life can be hard. With Culligan, your water doesn't have to be.
Nicolay Law, Russell Nicolay speaking. Yeah, I'm the guy on the billboards. You got me. Whoa, man. If they want the real Nicolay, Wait, you are the real Nicolay. I'm the real Nicolay. You're the real Nicolay. I'm the real Nicolay. You're the real Nicolay. We're both the real Nicolay. Hey, man, you better get back to that phone call. Oh, thanks. Yeah, sorry about that. Just talking to myself. Yeah, you got the real Nicolay here. Yeah, we can help you. Yep, billboards, baby.
Want to test drive U.S. Cellular's network free for 30 days?
Yeah.
Use this app. Want to do it even faster?
Here we go.
Oh, wow. U.S. Cellular works great out here. Wow. Still have 5G here, too. I wonder if U.S. Cellular lets me stream in my... Rec room. Yep, it's working. Hey, thanks for the lift.
Test drive U.S. Cellular's award-winning network free for 30 days.
Hey guys, check out all this delicious, locally roasted coffee.
That's why the best way to start your day is with a cup of coffee from Eagle River Roasters.
Newswatch 12 today wants to get that coffee to you through the Mugshot Monday contest.
So, what did we learn today? That Spectrum One gives people everything that they need at a great price. And what are those things?
Super fast internet.
Comes with it, yes.
A line of unlimited mobile.
Now we're cooking, yes, comes with it.
Free advanced Wi-Fi.
Also comes with it. What else do people want, guys?
A sense of purpose and direction in life.
It does come with state-of-the-art security features, which is kind of like the same thing.
Get Spectrum Internet for $49.99 a month with free advanced Wi-Fi and a free line of unlimited mobile for 12 months. Call, click, or visit a Spectrum store today.
Dear all-wheel drive, let's show the road what we've got. Yours, Toyota. Get 3.99% APR for 60 months on a new 2024 Camry. Toyota. Let's go places.
Today, the universities of Wisconsin unveiled a new website that provides access to every online degree program being offered at the system's 13 public universities. Wisconsin Online lists more than 200 fully online programs. Students can search for programs by program level, area of interest, or campus. Students wanting to learn more about a particular program can click through the university's online program webpage or request more information from the university. Point Baz lies across the Wisconsin River from modern-day Nakusa, and the location is also a source of an interesting tradition. The point is historically important for being a low-water crossing and the most northern point of navigable water on the river. And in 1837, pioneers Robert and Mary Wakely came from New York and built a home, inn, and trading post on the site. The historic Point Baz Museum carries on Wakely's tradition of organizing a winter feast.
They hosted what they called a cotillion, dinner dance for the neighbors. And it would be kind of big party in the middle of winter. And we just decided that as long as they did it, we'd try it as a fundraiser for our organization. And it's worked out very well.
History comes alive at the Wakely's Winterfest, and it's held at the Nakusa Community Center on Saturday, February 17th. The money raised will help with preservation and education. We'll be right back.
Paw prints happen. Stains don't have to. iClean, stain-resistant fabric for everyday life. iClean by La-Z-Boy. Learn more at lazyboy.com.
When it's party time, make it easy time. Make it Cousins Catering time. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. So when catering counts, count on Cousins. Cousins Subs Catering. We believe in better.
Score great savings on flooring from Menards. Update your home with IBC sheet vinyl. It's waterproof and features a durable wear layer for active households. Impact sheet vinyl flooring is only $109 per square foot. Finish your bathroom remodel with Menards' great selection of Waterpik shower heads. They have trending styles and finishes with Power Pulse therapeutic massage. Pick up this matte black dual dock 7-spray setting shower head for $49.99. Now at Menards.
Save big money at Menards.
Sure is nice to have my 3 older kids home to visit.
Oh yeah, I love coming home. I miss having soft water.
That's why I bring my laundry home on the weekend.
It's so much better for my hair too, but you wouldn't know anything about that, Corey.
And that's why my hair looks so nice and moisturized.
What do you know about moisturized hair?
Well, having 2 older sisters and a brother who only showers a couple times a week helps.
Well, actually, 72 years of treating water in Wisconsin is our family story. You kids are pretty well versed in water.
So let us make your family's water better today.
Paw prints happen. Stains don't have to. iClean, stain-resistant fabric for everyday life. iClean by La-Z-Boy. Learn more at lazyboy.com.
At Donors Choose, we want students and teachers to have the tools they need for a great education. And now, more than ever, they need your support. Learn more at donorschoose.com.
Drew, nothing says love like a dozen red roses, but these roses are of the golden variety in a nod to Betty White's character, Rose Nyland from the Golden Girls. A New York woman has placed the images of the iconic actress dressed in red throughout her front yard as a Valentine's Day gift for her wife. The couple says they both love the Golden Girls and watch it every night. I love the Golden Girls also, so that is an amazing thing. If my husband did that, I'd be very excited.
I've never seen it. I do know who Betty White is. So I'll give it a shot.
We'll see you back here tomorrow. Have a great night.
Blaine's Farm and Fleet's big pet care sale is going on now, and that means huge savings on the food, treats, and supplies you need to help keep your pets happy and healthy. Right now, get a free $15 Blaine's gift card when you spend $75 on Purina Pro Plan dog or cat food. Pro Plan uses advanced nutrition to create targeted formulas that help your unique pets thrive as they age and develop. So shop our assortment today and find the right Pro Plan formula for your dog or cat at Blaine's Farm and Fleet.
At Len's Truck, we're all trucks all the time. Nobody has a better selection of used trucks. At Len's Truck, we buy more, we sell more, and you save more. Buy now and get the highest trade-in value ever at Len's. Go to lenstruck.com. You'll find over 800 of the best used trucks money can buy.
Len's Truck. Len's Truck. We got the trucks at Len's Truck.
Your favorite moments shouldn't be trapped here or here.
Shutterfly gets your photos off your phone and into one-of-a-kind wall art, gifts, photo books, and more in just a few clicks. All covered by our 100% happiness guarantee. Your memories deserve better. Your memories deserve Shutterfly. Get your photos off your phone and get 40% off everything with code TV40.
It's one of our biggest sales of the whole year. Get a great-looking bed for just $198. Wow! Get up to 60% off list during our huge President's Sale at Slumberland Furniture. Get a gorgeous leather sofa for just $699. A Richwood dining set, just $699. A sleek sofa for just $398. You'll get the best deals, like a great-looking sectional for just $848 and free shipping. The huge President's Sale at Slumberland.